strong.
Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. This is Masked Gaming again and I am back with another build video. Now I just want to start off the video by saying thank you all so much for the support you've been giving me. I've been looking at my analytics every day and all I see is my numbers going up and up and up. At the time of this video I've hit 50 subscribers in the last 2 months. Now that's perfect, that is without any marketing or anything. This channel is basically running itself and I just want to say thank you to all my supporters and the people who are actually commenting and interacting with me to allow me to make my build videos even better for you guys. Now let's get right into it. We are a Stam Nightblade. Now as you can see my character name is Backstabby McBackstabber because, you know, gotta have an original name. But I thought I'd recover the Stam Nightblade, as my last video, my very first ever video, was a Stam Nightblade, but it wasn't to the best I could actually make it. Now I'm back with another build video, and this one is going to top my original Nightblade. Now as you can see we're running 64 points into stamina, we are a Khajiit Nightblade, and our stats don't look too impressive, do they? We've got 28,000 health, we are an Imperial city, that is why. We've only got 30k stamina, again, not really that good. We've got 760 mag recovery, modest. 0 health recovery, I think you all know what I'm doing here. 893 stamina recovery, half decent. And a measly 3.5k weapon damage with 37% weapon critical and very low resistances. But if you guys came here for a build that was tanky and sustainable, well then you're in the wrong place. This build is designed to sneak up on people and instantly kill them before they know what has happened. So I don't have any dueling footage today because I can't really justifiably put dueling footage on here for a build that's designed to sneak up on people. So I've decided to just go over the build and cover it today, and in my future videos there'll be dueling footage for things that are more sustainable and more tanky, but this is meant to be just something that you can throw on just for the fun of it. Maybe throw on in battlegrounds, go around, sneak kill people, run away, get in and out like a shadow. That's all you need to do. Now we're running quite low resistances as I mentioned earlier, but we've got quite a modest amount of critical resist. That's because at the end of the day this is a PvP build and we do need as much as we can get. Now I'm actually on my back bar right now. Those stats were for on my back bar. But if we go back onto our character sheet you'll see that my weapon damage isn't as measly as I originally thought. I'm up to 4.5k weapon damage on here. I'm running the Warrior Mundus, and I'm just running a basic tri-stat food just to increase all my stats because you don't really need anything fancy with this build. No food increases weapon damage, so let's just go for something basic. I mean, why not? We're running magical abilities as well, as I will mention later. We are Vampire Stage 4, so yes, our sustain is horrible, but I will explain why we're running that. And you can see we've got a passive of Major Savagery, which I'll explain how I obtained very shortly. Now, if we just move on to our gear, because I know you're all very anxious, I'm running a traditional setup. I couldn't think of anything random to put on. I know I promise original builds, but this is just something that I find works for me really well. If you notice I'm in crowd, just because I kind of don't want to be snuck up on in Imperial City and killed in the middle of my recording. So as you can see, we're running a New Moon Acolyte Maul in Nirnhoned with a weapon damage enchantment. Now for those of you who don't know, New Moon Acolyte, for people who are new to the channel, New Moon Acolyte for 2 pieces adds 833 of each critical, which averages to around 3.3% increase in critical rating. I don't know why they do it by numbers, but your guess is as good as mine. For 3 pieces, it adds 129 weapon and spell damage, again really nice for raw damage. And 4 pieces, it adds 1,487 physical and spell pen. Now for people who don't know, I recently learned this. I say recently, about a year ago, after everyone already knew. Pen is really good for going up against people who are tanky, because the more resistances they have, the harder it is for you to kill them. But with a high pen amount, you're able to get through those resistances and cut through them like they're butter. It just makes it a lot easier. If you have high pen, it used to be that Spriggans, an old set, was meta because it had high pen, but personally I prefer running New Moons nowadays as it adds more raw damage. Now on the 5 pieces where it's really fun, it adds an extra 401 weapon and spell damage, but increases the ability cost by 5%. Now, I think that's a fair trade-off. It's a very strong set, and it's a very strong balance to it, so I do appreciate that. We're running the Master's Perfected Bow on our back bar in Charged with Disease Glyph. This makes it so that we can apply Minor Defile to the target, and the charge just means that this Minor Defile is constantly going to be applied, because as much as the disease damage proc can actually hit, you need the status effect chance to trigger that effect on them, the Minor Defile. But for people who've never used it before, you can use the non-perfected, which comes from normal Dragon Star Arena. The only difference between normal and perfected is 103 weapon damage. However, this is on your back bar, so it is not necessary. If you just want to drive up your stats, then you can put this on by all means. On the 2-piece, which is what having this bow on does, it increases your weapon damage by 330 against targets affected by your poison arrow. Poison arrow can be morphed into poison inject, which is an execute for the bow, or it can be morphed into the stagger ability, the poison arrow I believe it's called, that allows you to interrupt people's casts and stun them, meaning they go down to their knees and you can do a little bit more damage to them. For our monster set, we are running Blorgs. Now Blorgs is very nice. We're running this in medium divines with stamina enchantment. The Blorg set increases your weapon and spell damage by 129, and when you use an ultimate ability, you gain weapon and spell damage equal to the amount of ultimate consumed, and physical and spell pen equal to 23 times the amount for 12 seconds. This means if you cast an ultimate that costs 125, as we do with our incapacitating strike, which you will see very soon, that means that you are getting an extra 125 weapon and spell damage, and you're getting 125 times 23 physical and spell pen. So you're getting even more damage just for casting your ultimate. And as you know, if you do play Nightblades as a main, you'll know that you try and combine your incapacitating strike with your other abilities, meaning you'll push out even more damage. Now in our chest piece, we're running a heavy New Moon Acolyte Cuirass in Divines and Stamina. This is the New Moon Acolyte set again. We're running a medium Blorg arm cop. We're running 5 medium, 2 heavy, just for reference. The Blorg arm cops are in Divines and Stamina. Our New Moon Acolyte belt is in medium, Stamina and Impen. And we're running Clever Alchemist. Now I know this is what a lot of people run. I personally love it for Nightblades nowadays. I am now going to display a screenshot right here. As you can see, I've just hit 8,000 weapon damage in the right situation. And this situation can occur constantly. It doesn't require anything special, it doesn't need any one-time use circumstances. You can have this up a long time. 8,000 weapon damage with, might I add, around 40% critical rating. You have a 40% chance to not only multiply your 8,000 weapon damage, but also hit even harder with your critical damage as a Nightblade and a Khajiit. As a Khajiit, you get a base 10% bonus critical damage, and as a Nightblade, you get another 10. That is 20% critical hit damage. Now, you could run the Shadow Mundus. However, I don't run the Shadow Mundus due to the fact that in the Stonethorn patch, I don't know if you've noticed, there's actually a slight nerf to it. With full gold divines, you only get 14% if I'm not mistaken, as opposed to the 17% you used to get. Notice the other way around, I do apologise, it's 17% as opposed to the 19% you got. Now yes, that is still quite a large number, however you want to drive up your weapon damage as much as you can in this build. The Khajiit makes up for the loss of Shadow, which is why we're not running Orc. You want as much raw damage as you can possibly get, while maintaining your critical damage ratings. So what Clever Alchemist does is it adds max health on the 2-piece, max health on the 3-piece, weapon damage and spell damage on the 4-piece, and on the 5-piece, whenever you drink a potion during combat, you feel a rush of energy, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 675 for 20 seconds. This adds a lot of weapon and spell damage to you for a long time, for about half the cooldown of an actual potion. Mix that with the major brutality that you get from the potions itself, because I'm running the weapon damage, weapon crit and restore stamina potions. you're getting a lot of weapon damage without even triggering anything special that makes it so you can hit that 8k. You can hit about 6k base damage. We're running heavy Numian Acolyte Greaves in Divines and Stamina, and we're running medium Clever Alchemist Boots in Divines and Stamina. We're also running 3 Clever Alchemist Pizza Jewelry in Infused and Weapon Damage Glyphs, increasing our weapon damage by another around 790 just from having these on. I really do enjoy using infused jewellery with weapon damage enchants on them. Now if we move on to our skills, on our front bar, our surprise attack, as you can see, has a massive tooltip of 11.2k. Now surprise attack is our main spammable, it costs stamina, and if you do it through their behind or beside them, you reduce their physical resistances by 10 seconds, as well as the fact it ties in with the passives of the shadow, giving you 5k physical and spell resistance for 9 seconds because you're running 2 pieces of heavy armour just for casting the shadow ability. So it's really nice to get an extra bit of resistance just from doing a lot of damage. Now next up we have Ambush. Ambush is the teleport strike morph for stamina. Not only does it increase your light attack damage by 40% after using this, but it also deals a little bit of damage and makes it so that you can increase their damage taken by 8%, so you're doing even more damage. This is our gap closer and how we start our fights, so be sure to have this on your front bar to allow you to keep that gap closed, because you want to be up close and personal for this. On our third ability, we're running Camouflaged Hunter in the Fighters Guild skill line. We have this on because it gives us Mage Use Savagery, as you saw earlier, and gives us Minor Berserk for 5 seconds after I deal critical damage on an enemy's flank. As we established before, it's behind or beside them, increasing my damage done by 8%. So not only are you getting 8% damage taken on the enemy, you're also dealing 8% more, adding up to a total of 16% more damage done. I'm not too sure if my maths is entirely correct there, just for casting an ability. This is a passive bonus. You do not need to use this ability at all. I have it slotted for the bonuses it gives. Plus the fact it's a Fighters Guild ability means that just for having it slotted, my weapon damage is increased by a further 3%. Next up we have Shadowy Disguise. Shadowy Disguise is a magical ability and it turns you invisible. Not only that, but it also increases the damage of your next direct damage attack, meaning things that aren't damage over time. This attack will always be a critical strike, meaning when you turn invisible, your next attack, for example your surprise attack or your ambush, will constantly be critical. Next up we have Relentless Focus. Now Relentless Focus allows us to hit 5 light attacks and take up to 10% less damage. However, after you hit those 5 light attacks, it turns into another ability that allows you to cast it again and hit the enemy for a massive 20,000 disease damage, and it heals you for a third of it. Translate this into PvP, it hits for about 10k, but can crit for about 15,000, healing you for 5k in the process. This ability is brilliant and is a must-have on your front bar. Now just to drive up our weapon damage, we're actually running Dawnbreaker of Smiting, the increased damage and damage over time variant of it. We run this just so we can have the extra weapon damage in the slot, and because it's a very strong ability, almost comparable to Incapacitating Strike, which we actually have on our back bar. We have this on our back bar because we don't just use Incap Strike for the very high damage we already have on it, as you can see, but we also have it on here so we can make the enemy take 20% more damage from our attacks for 6 seconds. And if this is cast with 120 or more ultimate, the enemy is stunned for 3 seconds. This allows you to follow up with your combo and hit very hard against the enemy. For our 5th ability, on our bow bar, we're running Vigor. This is a very nice heal, it's a must-have for every Stam class. For our 4th ability, we are running Shadow Image. Shadow Image is the variant of Summon Shade that allows you to teleport back to it, and it attacks from range, so it's a nice thing to have. Plus, when it does actually hit the enemy, it reduces their damage done by 15% for 4 seconds. Now on our third ability we're running the vampire ability Blood Frenzy. Now Blood Frenzy drains your health in exchange for giving you 630 weapon and spell damage. However, this morph allows you to increase that bonus the longer it's active. So the longer it's active, the longer you get that bonus. I think I actually need to morph it, but there is a version that allows you to increase that base 630 all the way up to about 1000 the longer it has it on. For our second ability we're running Legion Strikes. Legion Strikes is our main resource sustain. It heals you for about 900 in PvP per light and heavy attack you do, and it restores stamina. Now that's brilliant, plus when the effect ends you restore up to 4.2k additional stamina, so it's quite nice to have just to give you an extra burst of stamina sustain, and it costs barely anything to cast. Now finally on our first ability we're running the Venom Arrow. Now Venom Arrow is the variant of Poison Arrow that you need on your Master's Bow. This is what we use to increase our weapon damage against the target. Not only does it do a base 4.4k poison damage, but it also hits for an additional 7.5k over 10 seconds. Plus, if the enemy is hit while they're casting something, they are stunned for 3 seconds and set off balance, which triggers all of our damage dealing abilities. Now, as you can see in the video description, I am a vampire, and I'm just going to explain to you why I've chosen vampire. Now, a lot of people don't actually run vampire and nightblades. I like to use them on Stam. Let me just quickly morph that, because this is the one you want. You want Simmering Frenzy to increase the weapon and spell damage the longer the ability is toggled on. Now, all of our health recovery is gone as a stage 4 vampire, flame damage taken has increased, and our vampire ability costs are reduced by 24%, as well as regular ability costs being increased by 12. Now, I'm running stage 4 because our Simmering Frenzy is actually reduced in cost by being stage 4 vampire, so we want that bonus damage as much as possible. Next up, the other reason is because of Dark Stalker. You can basically sneak the same speed you can walk, and it means you can go into sneak a lot faster. It just allows you to transfer between enemies a lot faster without needing to worry about being seen. Now this is one of the main damage boosters. When you leave sneak or invisibility or mist form, your weapon and spell damage is increased by 300 for 6 seconds. This is a large amount just for crouching and uncrouching. Plus one of our other abilities is actually invisible, so it counts. It's brilliant and I really do enjoy this. Plus, the lower your health, the more tanky you are, because you get to reduce your damage taken by 30% based on the missing health. I enjoy how tanky this is, I really do notice it. However, a drawback of stage 4 I believe is the fact that nobody will talk to you in the NPCs, so if you ever need anything from a shop, you won't be able to talk to them. And finally, being a stage 4 vampire reduces the cost of sprint by 50%, and if you continuously sprint for 3 seconds you automatically become invisible, so a quick demonstration of that. You see I'm running, and I'm now invisible. No enemies can see me. I'm just going to run. He can't see me, I'm going right in his face. He cannot see me whatsoever. Now, let's go over the champion points. That's not champion points, that is. We're running quite a weird mix today. We're running 10 points into Warlord, 20 points into Sprinter, and 1 into Siphoner, 75 into Mooncalf, 54 into Arcanist, 30 points into Tenacity, 40 points into Shade, and 40 into Tumbling. On the Atronach we're running 70 points into Master at Arms. On the Ritual we are running 80 points into Precise Strikes, 60 points into Piercing, and 60 points into Mighty. On the Steed we are running 60 points into Ironclad, 60 points into Resistant, 60 points into Hardy, 60 points into Elemental Defender, and 30 points into Thick-Skinned. Now it's not your usual mix, I personally just don't like Thick-Skinned, which is why I do not run it at all. I have 30 points into it compared to my other ones, they run 60, because I feel like they're more valuable and I don't come across many damage over time builds anymore, so I feel like that's more responsible use for our abilities. I'm going to end the video there, guys. I thank you all again very much for your support. Please drop a comment down below for a build that you would like to see in the future, and I will get straight to work on that. There are new videos every Tuesday. Please hit that subscribe button, click on the bell, hit that like button, everything you can think of. And any support you guys give is highly appreciated. Recommend me to your friends, whatever you feel like you need to do to help a little English YouTube out. I really do appreciate all the support, guys. I will see you guys in the next one. See you next Tuesday.